So my kids and I have this thing that we like to do where we go on Disney Plus, like if we're trying to find something to watch, and instead of finding something to watch, we just watch trailers forever. It doesn't matter if they're trailers for shows and movies that we've already seen or ones that are upcoming. Our favorites are the ones that like really pique our interest, and we will legitimately watch them over and over and over again. And it got me thinking, students look at the way we open lessons and units the same way that my kids and I look at trailers. The gateway activity is basically the trailer for what's to come in the classroom. And if it falls flat, that's the one that we're not going to finish, right? Like we're not going to finish watching that trailer. I have already lost most of our students before we even start.
Which is why we care so much about it. And so one of our very favorite strategies that we want to share with you right now is a gateway activity using picture books. Picture books are the perfect little intro to big concepts and themes. They're engaging in a way that's unexpected. Here's a fun fact. We have a whole lesson ready made for you and absolutely free to download that uses the book Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And we use it to introduce the genre of dystopia and all of the big ideas within it. So if you've ever been in the market for tricking and deceiving your students with something that's really engaging and fun, this is the lesson for you. Every single time we use Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs in the classroom, students are walking away intrigued. They're talking to each other. They're talking out the door about what happened in class. I mean, dreams really do come true. And they're thinking about what's coming the next day. All of these signs of a very successful gateway lesson.
And did we mention that the whole lesson is free? You can go and download it right now and come back to it whenever you are ready. Head to the show notes for this episode or go to shop.bravenewteaching.com/cloudy to download this lesson today. We can't wait to see how it works in your classroom. This episode is brought to you by Curriculum Rehab by us, the team here at Brave New Teaching. It is the first and only teacher PD of its kind, a course to help teachers like you by guiding you through creating your own personal framework for curriculum. You make it work for you, your students, and your unique situation because nobody else knows what the kiddos in your classroom need the way that you do. Curriculum Rehab takes all of the resources available to you, all of the lessons, the assessments, the activities, all of the texts, everything that could possibly be there for you, and it helps you organize what you actually need in order to attain your teaching objectives. These are the strategies that Amanda and myself have used in our own classrooms, have developed over very long years of teaching and figuring things out, combined together to create this framework and these strategies that we can guide you through. This course will give you the tools you need for a complete curriculum overhaul or to start from scratch. Wherever you are on that continuum, it does it all for you and with you on your timeline. So start today, do a little bit more in a couple of months, and then pick it up next summer. It's Teacher PD the way it should be on your own time. Head to curriculumrehab.com/course for more information, or just head to the show notes for this episode. We cannot wait to see you there. It's finally time to take control of what goes on in your own classroom and create the curriculum of your dreams. All right, let's get back into the show. Well, hello and welcome to Brave New Teaching and welcome to our brand new venture into the YouTube. Hi, friend.
Hello, everyone.
Everybody, we are so excited to see you all in a new light, to reach a new audience even who's here on YouTube, and those of you who are with us on the podcast as well. We're doing a little dual recording situation, and we could not be more pleased to be here and talk about, I know we've said before that like some things are our favorite. Our legit favorite thing to talk about is dystopia. Like, if we're being perfectly honest, we have two things that we really like to talk about. One is just our general like disarray and how we would probably set the world off of its axis if we were in the same zip code, living and teaching and working. That's number one. And number two is dystopia and all things dystopia and teaching it and reading it and watching it and all of the things. So we're happy that you're here with us for this little 3-part series about dystopia.
I'm pumped. And I think these are the kind of conversations that I just wish I would have had someone to have these conversations with when I was younger, and not even necessarily younger, but when I was in the headspace that I needed to talk it out,
Yeah.
I didn't always have someone to talk it out with.
Right.
So we're hoping that by putting this out into the universe, you can at least like listen and talk to yourself / kind of talk to us as you're
Oh,
brainstorming and thinking
talk to
through your next
us.
unit.
You kidding? I talk to
I
podcasts. I talk to the TV. I talk to YouTube all the
sure you
time.
do. That
Yeah,
tracks.
of
That
course it
tracks. Yeah.
absolutely tracks. If you're new around here, welcome. I'm a little off my rocker, and so is Amanda, but aren't we all? You know, it's a good time. Yeah, but we're excited today to talk about, if you have been here for a minute, you know that we have done a few different series on dystopia and teaching dystopia. We have a whole workshop that is all about teaching dystopia. We are going to be having work sessions with our like work club, basically our teacher besties and happy hour. How to access all of that and all of the things that we're talking about will be in the show notes and in the description down below. So just make sure that you take a minute, scroll down, take a little look when you're done listening and watching to see all of that. And then like a ton of links to all of our other resources about many things that we've talked about. Today, though, we're going to talk about approaching dystopia with inquiry always, and some new essential questions to try.
The world has
Yeah.
changed since we last did like a very like big dystopia setup.
Yeah.
And so when Marie and I were chatting, we're like, I think this is time for a refresh. Not only has the world changed, but a lot of new books have come out. And so as part of this series, we want to explore essential questions, right? Like really setting up like those through lines with your unit, how you can get from part A to part B without totally losing your way. We want to talk a little bit about kind of like the skill work and what you're going to be able to really hone in on in our next episode. And then we're going to round things out with a big old list of texts and ideas to, kind of pad or fuel that actual unit. So first things first is going to be structure. And again, if you're new here, that might be a change for you, but we have found that the structure piece is critical to making this sustainable and like actually enjoying the books that you
Yep.
choose. And of course, if you've been here, like,
Yeah.
what's up. So let's start with structure. Let's start with EQs. And these are new ones and not ones that we've done
No,
before.
and by the end of this episode, you may very well have an entire dystopia unit, whether it's an all class novel or like book clubs or whatever, already formulating in your head. Like that's generally how this goes. We have a couple of ideas, but like you're just going to see us. Woo! This is how excited I am. I'm throwing things. We're just going to go off the cuff. So I feel like I'm ready
Yeah.
and I'm excited to chat about some new essential questions. Are you ready, my friend?
Let's do
All
it.
right.
I'm ready.
Cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a high school teacher from Southern California.
Join us after the show and happy hour to extend your BNT experience with instant access to our resources, workshops, and courses.
Visit shop.bravenewteaching.com/happy hour to join us today. We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show. Okay, friends. So we have a couple of ideas that we are looking at when we're talking about essential questions. And again, like Amanda said in the intro, if you are new around here and you're like, essential questions, okay, yeah, sure. We might be talking about them a little bit differently than you are quite prepared for. So I want you to go to the show notes. I want you to go to bravenewteaching.com and find our playlist on inquiry and essential questions and kind of pick and choose your way through to see what it is that we're talking about, because it'll provide a whole heck of a lot of context for you. And we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to jump right in.
We're going to jump right in, and I'll give you a miniature crash course because it's going to help us with I do not have any questions written down. I know you can't see everything on here. We just have some notes. When I do draft essential questions, here's real life sound effects of me turning the page. We talk about brainstorming essential questions as a trifecta. There are 3 pieces that go into play. So also sidebar, if you are using AI to help you with this process, go gangbusters. Yeah. However, learn this piece first so that you know how to refine what you're asking and prompting it to do. Yeah. The first part of the trifecta is going to be your text. In this case, we don't have a single text picked out, but we do have a genre. So we've got pretty good idea of the things that go on in pretty much any of these, and we have 2 nuanced situations we'll go over. The next part of the trifecta is going to be themes, right? So in a dystopia, there are some common themes, but there might be a theme that you really wanted to narrow in on, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the third piece of the trifecta is going to be, oh my gosh, did I just brain fart myself? What did I say? I just
You
said
said text,
text,
theme,
themes. Oh,
skills.
skills.
I was like, yeah,
Skills.
you've got this.
Skills. Sorry. So again, like if you are going to do a dystopia unit in hopes of ending with an argumentative research project, that's different than going in from a critical lenses theory or going in from, right, like a characterization, and I'm just introducing some basic plot structure
Yeah,
concepts.
if you're looking legitimately for literary analysis, right? Like if that's where you're going with it, then those skills are going to be what feed into potentially the verbiage or at least the formation of your question. Yes.
It does make a difference. It doesn't feel like it, but you are going to, once you start really drafting, you're like, ooh, that question is cool, but like, I would much rather like do research and answer it with a bunch of text, not just dystopia. Or that question's awesome, and I'm definitely going to get to teach juxtaposition and symbolism in order to answer that question. So that's really where those 3 things have to come into play when you're brainstorming. So let's go with like draft. The first version, I guess I should tell you, when we first did our kind of quintessential dystopia question, we asked students, to what extent is America a dystopia? Or to what extent are we living in a dystopia? And that really set up a great like foundational discussion about the components and the complexities of the society, the way that kind of the power and control works, and the people who have been forced to serve them work. That really is a nice way to do a classic dystopia unit, but Marie and I wanted to take it one step further.
Well, we wanted to bring something that is a little bit more current and a little bit just elevated, right? So we've talked through, like Amanda said, to what extent is America dystopia? It's a to what extent, which many of our friends, our BNT community members out there love to hate, is to what extent, blah, 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 because it's really hard for students. Which is like why we love it. But then we also like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And then there's that. We've done it's a pretty approachable, even though it's to what extent, that's what I was trying to say. Sorry. Got a little crazy. It's a pretty approachable because it's finite, right? Like it's just America. It's just, is it a dystopia or not? And like, where's the gray area? Where are we along that scale? What we're looking to do now is to maybe elevate or broaden, or just even like, I always say like pan left, like just change our perspective a little bit beyond that America-centric view. And so, yeah, when we were just chatting a little bit before we started recording, we talked about a couple of different approaches to new essential questions. And one is looking at the broader view of the globe and being a citizen of the world and the planet Earth, which I think we're going to get to in a minute, because I really want to get into okay, we have ended the Hunger Games. We have, defeated President Snow. Now what? Part of it. We have, okay, the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs has what is that thing called? What is the name of the Sluglufer, or what? I can't remember the whole.
The land of chew and swallow.
Right, but no, no, you
Yikes.
butt. No, the machine. What is the machine called? Do you remember?
Oh,
anyways,
man, I don't know.
We've, disabled it and everybody's okay. Now what? The rebuild question, that post-apocalyptic, like Amanda was saying a minute ago to me anyways, a lot of the new texts that we are seeing are the after. It's they're
post-apocalyptic.
They're not just, yeah, exactly. They're not necessarily in the revolution. It's over. Now what? Somebody has won. Something has come to a close. And now what do we do? And so that's really where we want to focus, because I think that gives a little bit more of a mature, that elevated in that way line of thinking. Yeah.
What we were talking too about, if you look into the show notes, we'll link it for you. But when we discussed our fantasy series, we discussed how some of these genre units are not just one and done. Yeah. They're really awesome to vertically align and kind of scaffold from your middle grades all the way through 12th grade. And I think dystopia is absolutely one of these. You can read The Giver in 7th grade, but you can read Fahrenheit in 10th and have 2 completely different experiences. But then I'd love to take you on in 12th grade like
With
with
something
like
else.
what Marie
Exactly.
said, when
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
over, right? And like let's look at some of these novels that are about dystopia is the mother genre, right? Like dystopia is absolutely how the world crumbled and how things fell apart, and like and it's a conscious history for the characters who are living through
Mhm.
this, right? Either close to the apocalypse or further. So we still need to know what dystopia is and how it functions, right? We need to know that that's part of what tore things apart for these characters, or the memories of their
Yeah.
parents or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
that might be as we move in. So I'm thinking about books like Station 11, the last bookshop on Earth. I'm thinking about even kind of like maybe even internment borderline. I mean,
Yeah, I think that
I don't
that
know.
one bridges the
That's
gap
in the
a bit.
midst.
I think that bridges the gap between the apocalypse, the like the actual revolution and the after, right? But
Yes.
it's still a little bit more of like a bigger question. I also think that there's something that you said about the vertical alignment of it and getting to 12th grade, 11th grade even, but especially 12th grade where they're on the cusp of adulthood in a lot of ways, at least legally
Yes. They're
speaking.
coming of age.
Yeah, in a way that, when we're teaching, this isn't dystopian, but the outsiders to younger, like 7th graders, yeah, they're coming of age, but they're coming of age in a very different way when they're about to turn 18, 19 in the world. The stakes are real in a way that they haven't been before. And so that's where that rebuilding, the responsibility is yours now. You are the ones, you can vote, you can do all of these things and become a real functioning member of society that doesn't diminish their younger years, but also is just so new and real and heavy that I think grappling with a lot of these things can be very cathartic and is extremely important in a 12th grade English class.
So I'm writing
Okay.
down in my themes circle or section, coming of age in a new world, right? Like what it's like for these
Mhm.
characters to, right? And it, yeah, they're emerging into a new world that's been unwritten. This idea of rebuilding, right? Are they part of what's rebuilding, or are they still just in survival
Yeah.
mode, right? Um, and this idea of change, of the like the opportunities to change what was broken. There are a lot of great examples of groups that attempt that, who are now wrestling with groups that are like completely
Yeah. Okay.
anarchist.
I feel like we are getting somewhere really good. Let's look at our second question. Because if we're
Yes.
starting with which comes first, right? Chicken or the egg, survival or rebuilding. Now, what is a little bit more of a global perspective, kind of like an elevated, where are we going next with another question? And also, what is on my shirt? Okay, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Well, because I think originally when I was, these were like shower thoughts before going to bed thoughts. Like
Sure.
originally, kind of like when I was thinking about this and doing like a more global perspective, I really kind of just envisioned this a similar conversation to what it said as America a dystopia, but
Hmm.
instead of looking at America, looking at more examples from the global context and even historical. I think that there are so many of the things, what we do with this original question is we kind of break down these elements of dystopia, right? We look at dehumanization, we look at desensitization,
Hmm.
we look at conformity, we look at all these elements of dystopia and how they contribute to like the dystopia of the novel, and like specifically, like we kind of mirror how those things have happened in the US. I'm interested in like the structural pieces of how a dystopia functions or doesn't function, right? But looking outside the US. I mean, really, that's kind of where I started.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it's age appropriate if we're talking about 12th grade, right? Because in 12th grade, well, okay, I'll talk like 9 through 12. What you and I have both taught
Yep.
is what we know. Generally in ninth grade, we take like who am I? What is like what coming of age in the I am an adolescent now teenager
Yep.
place. Sophomore year, we start to go into like community. How do I fit into my community? And you've kind of got that like smaller societal lens. And then by 11th grade, we're looking at nation, at least in
Yeah.
American literature, which is generally what a lot of 11th grade English classes are. They're looking at what is my place in this nation? How do we define being an American? So it only makes sense then to go one layer out
100%.
of the ogre onion to global, to world citizen, right? Like, so rather than looking at it at a very localized perspective, it's more of the like what the greater humanity kind of a situation looks like. I feel like there's a difference too between looking at asking students to make a choice versus decisions. Like choices are something that I would ask like when I had toddlers, do you want cheese or graham cracker, right? Like they're
Yes.
finite versus
Yes.
make a decision about what you want to do is something that I am coaching a lot of 11th and 12th graders through as they are deciding what to do with their post high school life. So I wonder where that mixes in. I don't know.
Yes. I think so while you're talking, I'm also thinking about like with 12th grade, I think this is a great age to, how do I want to say this? to talk about these components of dystopia objectively, not right. Like I feel like
Right.
when they are younger, there's so much more like uh reaction to like
Sure.
to dehumanization, for example, right? Like
Sure.
the kids are like, oh yeah, like it's so sad when you watch the Sarah McLachlan videos and the poor dogs are not getting adopted, right? Like, first of all, that's not dehumanization, but it's like
I
right, they
know.
kind of they want these like visceral reactions, whereas
Right.
we can more objectively say in a dystopian government, which is fictional, we can keep that there.
You keep that layer of protection in many different ways.
In right in this system,
Yeah.
here are how these things operate, period, right? These are tools
This is
of a
how they are
regime
written. Yeah.
in order to create an effect that results in this. It's a genre. These are tools of the genre, tools of the system within the genre. Now let's look at how these tools function historically, right? In other realms, other places. They've got a little bit more world knowledge and life experience to go on at this point, but we can now say, it's not about, the current leader in power and like good or bad and pointing fingers. It's about how do these systems of oppression function and why are they consistently successful?
Why are they consistently successful? But then also, if we're looking at patterns, why is there always a downfall?
Yeah.
Right? Because
Right.
they can't possibly be perfect.
They're not sustainable. Right.
They're not sustainable. They're not ideal if they fall. And so, like, let's look at, so like what I started to write down was how does society, how does humanity, I don't know, like peace is the word that comes to mind, but I don't think that that's it. It's like looking for the idyllic. Since we're talking about dystopia, we're really asking what is a utopia without that seedy dystopic. Dystopic? Is that what it is? Is that the word? Dystopic?
Dystopic?
Dystopic? Dystopian-esque?
Sure. Dystopian-esque. Ooh, even better.
Narnar gross nasty?
Okay, keep going with this utopia thought. You're somewhere that's actually useful. Hold on. Stay there. Stay there.
Like, what is an actual perfect world?
Yeah.
Like, what does that actually look like, taking into account? Because what it does actually is it builds on the idea of the collective or the individual, right? And it looks at the big picture.
So then I would say this leads us toward another great example of a question stem.
Yep.
Right. So another great question stem that we could use in this situation would be an if then.
Okay.
Right. So if something utopia, then right, like it's asking us to like we're going to kind of provide a statement that we all can get under, we can all get behind.
Right.
But then proposes the twist. So
we can take something for granted.
Stems,
yeah. Okay.
Right. So what might that might be like if a utopia is not
sustainable, not achievable, not.
If we don't want utopia, what do we want?
I mean, kind of, right? Like,
it's a little too vague, but yes, that's generally where we're headed.
Because truly, if utopia is not, I feel like utopia is achievable, and that's what half of the problem is. But if utopia is not actually ideal or real or sustainable,
Yes.
then what is?
Yeah, and I think we see that in so much of the text that have come before us. Like we've
Yeah.
talked about, like with Cloudy, and like even like Barbie movie. I'm thinking about that. Like there,
Oh my
when it
gosh,
comes to
Barbie
utopia,
movie.
right? I think if we turn the lens on utopia, we can look at the tyranny, the dictatorship, the
Yeah.
power, right, the system of power, and look at its failings, and
Yes.
that a utopia for one or some is never going to be utopia for others, and that's ultimately where things right fall. In order for a utopia to be sustainable, you have to dehumanize people, you have to do all of these things,
Right.
you
So
have
then
to
what
create.
is the ideal
So
society,
then
right?
what
Like, I
is
guess
the
then the
ideal?
question that will get them thinking critically beyond that and go like push,
Yep.
there's always that like wall that we hit and hit and hit. And it's the right question that gets students to go poop, not go poop, but go through it.
So
Maybe.
now what?
I don't know.
It's our so
So,
what.
yeah. Why does it matter? Yes, if all of it's disconnected from them, then why does it matter? Well, let's see why it matters. Because you're about to live in this world in a way that you have never lived before, because you are going to be 18 and a high school graduate. Okay.
And it's reminded me of the idea of like people who complain about the world or complain about a situation but don't want to volunteer any
Right.
to make it better. Like we all have like complaints about the world the way it is. So here's your chance to like complain and actually then like suggest what is the ideal situation, what would actually be ideal, but not completely send us toward an apocalypse, you know?
Right. And look at all of the loophole or all of the pitfalls there. No, I think that's right. Okay. So if we look at our two questions, they are pretty different, but they
Yeah.
also kind of build very nicely. The first, which comes first, survival or rebuilding? Which I think then would lead nicely if you were going to do a whole year on dystopia. Wouldn't that be fun?
Right.
If utopia
Or just a
is,
couple grade levels, right?
or a couple grade levels, if utopia is not sustainable or ideal or something like that, then what does the ideal society look like? That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That gives kids a
That is
lot
really good.
to go on. Um, I'm excited to look at, like, I didn't even think of the Barbie movie. We're going to talk about that in the third part of this series for
Yes.
sure. But like different texts that are new to the world, but also just new to us and new to Brave New Teaching that we haven't talked about before. And next episode, we're going to talk about the skills. We're going to dig into the skills that we can practice. And I'm excited to use these questions to dig into those skills. It's going to be great.
It really is. I'm pumped. I'm pumped about that.
I am too. Okay, friends, again, make sure that you head to the show notes. Make sure that you head to
Yes.
the description under this episode so that you can get all of the links. We have so many dystopia episodes with so much information. We have so much on essential questions and inquiry and all of that, all free and on the podcast. We also have Happy Hour, which is our fantastic, amazing community, like teacher work club, where this conversation will continue because we are sincerely not ready to be done yet, but the episode needs to end. But we'll like build your units with you.
And that reminds me, Maria, that I want to talk to Happy Hour people about where AI fits in these two questions and talk about like the future of artificial intelligence when I mean, there are so many, like, this is again like a big update since the last time we've done dystopia. The world of AI has shifted drastically, and I'm sure it's only going to keep outpacing us. So let's make sure to remind our Happy Hour teachers to talk about that.
And I'm excited to add that to our workshop, our dystopia workshop also. So make sure that you can find out how to access all of that in the show notes and in all of the links and all of the places. But for now, friends, if you are in school right now, we hope you have a wonderful week at school. And if you are not, we hope you have a wonderful week. And make sure that you come back next time when we start talking about skills and for the rest of this little series. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully your brain is bubbling like ours right now and you're ready to just write down all the notes in your trusty notebook. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in Happy Hour and the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here and have a great week at school.